Right guys, so welcome to the new video as promised, and I hope you guys are familiar with this work already. So for those who are new to this video and you have not watched the previous one, you definitely need to go back and watch that one, because then you get to understand the whole gist. You'll know exactly what I'm doing. We are doing this 6 to 8 weeks plan. I am planning on losing as much as fat as possible, meanwhile trying to mature my muscles and maintain my muscle, because it's very difficult to try and lose weight, as you will lose a lot of muscle if you're not doing the right stuff in terms of the diet and the training. Anyway, if you've not seen the introduction video, go and have a look, because that explains everything. All this information was explained in that video. We need to think of a specific diet plan. Now, the diet plan is what we will focus on today. This video, what we are doing, we are going to the diet aspect, and we are explaining everything to do with that and how we are managing that to achieve the goals. And the goals are, just to recap for you guys, to achieve a body fat percentage of 12 to 14%. We have 6 to 8 weeks to do this, and this is the first week of it. In a few days, I will be recording myself again just to update the profile and see how we are doing in terms of the numbers. Hopefully, we are reducing things, and hopefully we are getting a step closer to the goals. We are going to dive straight in to the diet aspect. And to do that, we need more information. But don't worry, I've got you covered. Alhamdulillah. So, the fat loss board. This video is all about the diet aspect. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about exactly what I'm doing and what is required of you if you are on a similar plan as myself, or you have similar goals as myself. Lose fat as much as possible and work towards muscle maturity. So if that's your goal, this will work. Even if that's not your goal, this will still work, but you just need to make some modifications, some changes to the ratio, and to expose to you guys exactly what's going on and what I'm doing right now in terms of the journey, which you should be also doing if you are joining me on this journey. My main plan, my main diet, or the method which I'm trying to achieve my goals, is to stay in a low carb, high protein diet. Meanwhile, try to minimize as much as trans fats as possible. Trans fats, I believe this is the reason why we are becoming unhealthy. It's something that we are struggling to control. So therefore, I know the addition it makes to that adipose tissue, to that fats in our body. So what I'm trying to do, I am trying to minimize the trans fats as much as possible. And just for you guys to understand, trans fats are the things that you find in your highly fried foods, biscuits, your cream cakes, your donuts, or even the refrigerated stuff, so refrigerated pizzas or burgers or your fish fingers and things like that. They will contain trans fats, meanwhile also containing some things which are beneficial. However, it will all depend on the food. But I'm still not going to completely deduct it from my diet, because that's not how life is. You're going to have control. When it comes to food, I'm one of those guys, people who say that there is no such thing as unhealthy food. It comes down to you, the accountability, and at the same time, the responsibility of being able to take care of yourself and having that control to know when enough is enough. Anyway, to continue, so I'm on a low carb, high protein diet. So there is a ratio here, although I'm not really too focused in terms of the numbers, but I know from eyeballing and from knowing my foods, I make sure that majority of my food is protein. And I do make sure that I have my fats in there too. And then I make sure that I have enough carbs to continue my training, to continue my recovery when it comes to my training, and also to help me in this whole process of building the muscle and maturing the muscle. The protein aspect of it will help me in terms of trying to maintain as much as muscle as possible, but I do still need those carbs in order to keep me going through my training, to give me the longer lasting energy, and at the same time to help me with my recovery and everything else. But I will discuss all of that when it comes to understanding foods. But for now, low carb, high protein diet. We are in a relative deficit. We are in a calorie deficit, because it's simple as this. If you want to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. That's what science says. Calorie deficit has wonderful, wonderful benefits. And in fact, I would even say that calorie deficit is better than fasting, intermittent fasting, or any form of fasting for weight loss. Calorie deficit is better. You will be able to understand that or appreciate that information once I get into this part. But for now, we are in calorie deficit of 1200 to 1400 of total calories per day. And at the same time, we are doing portion control. Remember, portion control is not same as calorie deficit, because when we talk about portion control, it's about dividing your food or dividing your calories in a way to serve you throughout the day without you suffering too much when it comes to the hunger, because hunger is part of the game. It will be part of the game, and it's okay. It's okay to be hungry. There's a lot of physiological benefits when you are hungry, but at the same time, you can't be starving yourself. You have to eat. So therefore, we calculate, you could say, our meals, and we time them well in order to serve us, so therefore we don't suffer too much when it comes to the hunger. And at the same time, because you are sleeping, that sleeping period means that you are fasting. And that fasting period means that there's a long period of time where you don't have any protein. Your body needs consistent source of protein. And if it's not getting that, where is it getting it from? It won't get it from anywhere, because your body does not store protein. It stores fats, and it stores carbs, glucose. In fact, it can make its own carbs. Up to 120 grams per day, your body is able to make its own carbs through this whole process of gluconeogenesis or in a state of ketosis, all of those understandings. But it does not store protein. So therefore, your body requires protein as one of the first things when you do wake up or when you do have your first meal. So when it comes to my breakfast, it's highly concentrated with protein, but at the same time, I make sure there is a balance. So I still have some level of carbs, although it's very minimal, but it's mainly protein, fats, okay? But you will be able to understand why that sort of a ratio, or why a ratio is important when it comes to this part. So very simple, we are doing a portion control, we're doing a calorie deficit. Our calorie deficit is a relative deficit. Relative deficit is very different to absolute deficit. If you look at the studies and you look at some of the metabolic studies or studies on metabolism, and you look at things like calorie deficit in relation to metabolism and how it alters your metabolism depending on the amount of calories, depending on the total amount of calories which comes in, what you will come across is that if you are below 1,000 calories, and that is a absolute deficit, and we have seen from numerous studies, peer-reviewed studies, that this can alter your metabolism. You will lose the weight, but it will not work for you in terms of your long-term health. A lot of things which can go wrong. This is something which you will find a lot of people who do fasting. With that lifestyle comes a lot of food consciousness behavior. With being over-conscious, you will start eating less and less. That means that there is a good possibility you will be hurting your basal metabolic rate. There's going to be that metabolic adaptation where your basal metabolic rate will reduce, and that's going to hurt you in the long term. And in fact, if you continuously do this, we have seen research that it can definitely affect sleep. You could experience unwanted hair growth. You can experience fatigue, lack of energy, whether you're female or male, doesn't matter. It can affect many things. And we don't want that. We're trying to stay away from that. We don't want to hurt our metabolism. We don't want our metabolism to go into that safety mode or survival mode. What we are trying to do, we're trying to stay in relative deficit, and that is a safe deficit between 1,200 to 1,400. You can go a bit lower, extreme, and I don't really want people to do that. So let's keep it simple, and this is very, very doable. That's why I'm sticking with these numbers, to let you guys know how doable it is. We are portion controlling, we are doing calorie deficit, we are staying in a relative deficit, we are doing a low carb, high protein diet. We are trying to minimize trans fats as much as possible, meanwhile making sure that we get plenty of protein, and also making sure that we are dividing and spacing our meals equally, but at the same time having most of our protein or calories at the start to midday. Then when it comes towards end of the day, we are having the least amount of calories. So it's like eating in an upside down triangle. Let's understand our macros. So when we're talking about macronutrients, we are talking about fats, carbs, and protein. They all have their own benefits. For example, your proteins, the amino acids, the building block of life. There are 20 essential amino acids, proteins which are helpful for making up hormones, enzymes. So they are there for the repair system, they're there for your bones, for your muscles, for your genes as well, your DNA. your DNA is made up of protein. So protein is very, very important for the whole building of your body. The carbs or the carbohydrates, and by the way, fiber is part of your carbs, so be mindful of that. Your carbs are there for the longer lasting energy. You need your carbs. You need your carbohydrates because it's going to give you that longer lasting energy. And that's why I made the comment about needing my carbs for my training, optimal training. You'll need it for keeping up with your training. You need it to prevent injuries. You need it for your general body function. It's important for many, many reasons. Fats. Fats are great. Fats are great to help you with supporting your brain function, immune system. It's important when it comes to the cell growth, when it comes to the understanding of absorbing the micronutrients, especially your vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin D3. All of these vitamins, micronutrients, are important for our body. Therefore, fats help to absorb them. Not only that, fats are also there to help you to maintain control of your blood pressure as well as your cholesterol. So fats are super important. So therefore, you need to make sure that you have it. In fact, did you know having a deficiency in your omegas is worse than a person who is a smoker, but they have high levels of omegas in their body? So imagine being deficient in omegas is worse than smoking. Dr. Rhonda Patrick spoke about this. I don't remember the podcast, but I was listening to that. It's very important. And it's crazy how important this one nutrient is for you. So up your fats, up your omegas, and remember, your omegas don't change that quickly. You need to be taking them for a long time. So that's very important. Keep your omegas high for your brain function, everything. Your brain is made up of fats, and your brain is a very greedy organ. Your brain is a very greedy organ. Up to 25% of your total calories, which comes into your body, your brain takes. That's a lot of calories. That's a very greedy organ. You got to look after it. Now, go into the whole understanding of metabolism. To make it very simple, metabolism is about bringing the energy, bringing the calories from outside of the body into the body, and then utilize that energy. Your metabolism has anabolism, which means to build or store, and then the other parts of metabolism is about breaking and utilizing those stores, which is catabolism. So those are the two parts. And those people who can switch between the two, or have the flexibility to switch between the two depending on the activity, means that they have that metabolic flexibility. That is fantastic. That means you have a robust metabolism, looking after your metabolism. And let me tell you something, guys, right now, which I have repeated in many of my videos. There are 4 things that you need to look after when it comes to looking after your metabolism: sleep, managing your stress, balancing your food, and being physically active. These are the 4 pillars of your health. It doesn't matter if 3 of them are perfect. If you don't look after one, all 3 will be affected. So there needs to be a harmony, a homeostasis. So look after your sleep, look after your stress, look after your food, and be physically active. That's the way you're gonna look after your metabolism. And my friend is falling asleep at the back. He's too bored. Sorry guys, look, if this is too educational for you, you can go back to the start of the video. That's the main point I'm trying to make. If you take that away, you'll be done. But for those who are trying to be a bit nerdy and you want to understand calories, let's get into that. So calories, or calorie is very simple. It's a unit of energy. To be specific, heat energy. Simple as that. If you want to go by the textbook definition, calorie is the amount of heat energy required to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree. That is the definition of calorie. Let's get into this whole understanding of calories in and calories out. First and foremost, calories in. It is very difficult to track exactly how much is coming into your body. Your food labels are off. They're not accurate. So you don't know exactly how much there is. Second of all, everybody's microbiomes are unique to them. So your digestion is personalized. It will depend on the individual. So not everybody digests things the same way or the same rate. Or not everybody gets to digest the same amount of nutrients which comes into their body. The other thing is that when it comes to calories in, you don't know what is exactly in terms of the nutrients in the foods that you're eating. So all these calorie calculating and tracking, I mean, look, it's good, it's a nice stepping stone, but it's difficult to maintain and it's not accurate. So therefore, as part of this plan, we're not doing that. We're just simply looking at the numbers, we're eyeballing, and we're learning how to understand food from that point of view. But it's more about understanding how much food your body needs. So by eyeballing and just really understanding and connecting with your food from that level, it's a much more longer lasting method rather than relying on this calculation or that calculation, which you will give up at the end anyway. You won't do it anymore. It's better to eyeball your food and to really understand about that portion control. Anyway, that's calories in. So imagine how difficult that is. Think about calories out now. When you're thinking about calories out, you have to think about your resting metabolic rate or basal metabolic rate. You have to think about the thermic effect of food. This is an understanding about different macronutrients will require different amounts of energy from the body to burn those macronutrients in order to get a positive net energy. For example, your protein will require the most amount of energy from the body to burn in order to get a positive energy, more than your carbs, and then your carbs will require more than your fats, and your fats will require the least amount of calories from the body to burn in order to get positive net energy. No wonder the body loves to tap into the fats as its favorite source of fuel. And that's why I say to you that when it comes to the understanding of macro ratio for weight loss, it does really become an important understanding and it really does matter. Hence why I've done my portion in this way. And that's to do with this whole understanding of TEF, thermic effect of food. Now, for those people say, oh, don't worry about your calories. Calories just a calorie. You have to think about the metabolism and hormonal system. Yes, you do. But if you're going to talk about metabolism, you cannot not talk about calories in and calories out. Because if you're going to be talking about calories, you have to talk about metabolism and relate it back to metabolism. And if you're going to be talking about metabolism, you're going to have to include calories. And then you're going to have to talk about basal metabolic rate or resting metabolic rate. You can see that it's all relevant. It's all important. You have to consider everything. And that's why we are considering everything, and that's why we are thinking about macros in terms of our goal, and then at the same time we are making it relevant to our goal, and we are planning and we are utilizing this understanding in order to make something personalized to us to cater for our goals in order to help us to achieve that. Remember, my goal is to lose as much as body fat as possible whilst maintaining as much as muscle as possible and helping myself to train and go towards that muscle maturity. Therefore, I need a high protein diet, low carb diet to achieve that. And we have to understand another thing. If you're going to be in a calorie deficit, you need your protein to be the most amount of your calories per day. The reason for that, for you to maintain muscle, you need to either put it under mechanical stress and have the right diet. So that's why I'm including high protein diet. Meanwhile, do my training, which I will explain in my next video. Otherwise, I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. I'll see you on the next one. Leave a comment, do share, do like, do subscribe and support me. I don't have any models to show you guys, but if you keep subscribing and supporting, believe me, I'll get you guys all the models. I'll make more demonstrations so it can be more interactive, so therefore you guys can enjoy these videos. But for now, I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I will see you guys on the next one. Stay healthy, stay fit, take care, bye-bye. See you later.
So this is a quick update on the numbers, and I don't want you guys to be too overemphasizing on the numbers, but just for the purpose of keeping track and staying organized, I will be looking at the numbers on the weekly basis and giving you guys an update. I gave you guys a profile and explained what the numbers are in terms of my weight, my BMI, my body fat percentage, my waist measurement. As we are now 1 week into the actual program, because remember, we started on the 15th of January. Today is the 22nd. So we will delete this and put the right numbers down. So today is the 22nd. And in terms of the numbers here, which I have already measured, so my waist measurement, as I am looking to mainly to get rid of the fat within the abdominal area, so I measured precisely on top of the belly button using a simple tape like this. And from what the numbers are right now, it is currently 33.5. That's the numbers. But if I was to go below that, around my waist, it's actually lower. It's around 31, 32. But I'm more concentrating around the abdominal area, and the current numbers are 33.5 inches. My body fat percentage, actually, I'm using a skinful caliper to make life simple. And from what we know, these numbers here, 18 to 20%, is because I measured it from different areas. So I measured it from sort of the side of my abdominal area, more like your oblique area. I also took measurements from under my arm and also inner thigh. But I'm making it easy. I'm just purely going to be measuring from the abdominal area because that's where I want to lose my body fat. And from these numbers here, we are currently at 16, 17%. We are around 16, 17% body fat around this area, okay? And in terms of my BMI, it's still overweight, so there's no change there. Interestingly, the weight has come down. Currently, I am 81.5. So there's been about 500-gram loss this week. I've managed to basically drop about 500 grams. Everything else is the same. However, we did say we are going to be looking at the biofactors, very important when it comes to weight loss. And in terms of the biofactors, I want to be super quick about this. I feel like I am more in control, if that makes sense. I did feel a bit irritated later hours in the day. I do feel a bit irritated. That's because I'm probably dealing with more hunger. In the mornings, I tend to be a lot more hungrier. So I do have my breakfast earlier than usual. In terms of my recovery, my energy, I have seen a difference in my energy. So I feel like I have more energy. It's weird, but it's good. Stress is under control, recovery is fine. I have been to the gym, mood is fine, cravings are okay. I do feel there's times where it's more amplified, but that's because things are in front of me. And one of the ways you deal with cravings, make sure that it's not in front of you. So that's a simple thing that you can do if you're struggling with that. Otherwise, anger has been okay as well. Nothing major here. So everything's totally fine, alhamdulillah. And yeah, we continue with the journey now and we'll see how we get on. And I will update you guys on the 29th of January. But as of this video, well, where we stand right now, these are the numbers. I'll see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Support the education, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.